Tammy's Country Kitchen. Today we're going to make double chocolate chip cookies, and my son Michael, this is one of his favorite cookies out of the 4 food groups, I might add, and it consists of bittersweet chocolate. I use Ghirardelli. There's other brands out there. I do like this one. It does have a lot of bittersweetness about it, and also semi-sweet chocolate morsels. Any brand you choose, that's fine. This is probably about 1.5 cups, and then when you add the 4 ounces of the bittersweet chocolate, that's going to make it about 2 cups of chocolate, which is what you want for a really good cookie. So to start out with, we're going to cream 2 sticks unsalted butter. A shout out to Paula Dean. And we're going to use a flat beater. Now I use a KitchenAid mixer, which is one of my favorite, actually my favorite mixer. We're going to add 1/2 cup of light brown sugar and also 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Now it's not going to seem like a lot of sugar, but with the chocolate ratio it's actually going to be wonderfully incorporated together and meshed. So we just want to lock your mixer down. Turn that on about a medium speed. You don't want it mixing. You don't want it jumping all over you. That butter is still in the hardened stage. And to this, we're going to add 2 eggs. You just want to cream that together really well. Probably, I would say, at least a minute or 2, just to make sure that you've got that sugar all incorporated into that butter. That's what makes a really, really good cookie. And to this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Make sure it's pure. I used to use the imitation, but I found that there's no substitute for good vanilla. And while that's mixing, we're going to go ahead and chop up our dark bittersweet chocolate. You just want to rough chop it because you're going to want some of those chunks in your cookies. And there's a hen trying to eat some of my chocolate. Just a sharp chef's knife will work. You're just going to have to bear down with a lot of pressure to chop that chocolate up very well. It's actually a very, very good cookie. And of course, feel free to deviate from this recipe. You could use milk chocolate if you like milk chocolate morsels better. I just like dark chocolate, and I just think that with a semi-sweet, it just adds such a wonderful flavor to them. So as you can see, it looks like shards right now. Just small little pieces is what you're going for here. That's about it. And then you're going to add that to this to your bowl. There's a hand trying to come back into the picture there. With the holiday season coming on, it's going to be a lot of bacon in our house. A lot of eating good food. Okay, if you want to get a shot of this, this is what your cream mixture is going to, that's what it should look like when you're done with that. Okay, we're going to stop that. Now we're going to do our dry ingredients. And to our dry ingredients, we have 2 cups of flour, in baking, it's, you know, you should be a little bit more precise with your measuring. It's not so important when you're doing any other kind of cooking, but in baking you really want to be very careful with that. And also with that, we're going to have a teaspoon of salt. And that counterbalances the sweetness of the cookie. a teaspoon of baking soda. Here is that. It's going to let them rise a little bit, but they're not going to be like a cake. It's going to be a cookie. You probably just kind of want to mix that up a little bit. Now here's the fun part. The chocolate will go last. Now we're going to add, you want to turn your mixer on low. You don't want a face full of flour. You want to try to add that a little bit at a time, just so it mixes really well. It's really starting to look like a cookie dough now, as you can see. There's all of the flour. You'll hear your mixer starting to struggle a little bit. That's perfectly normal. Time to scrape down. I'm going to scrape down any bits of flour that's on the edge. Give it another roll. And we're just about there. Alright. Unlock your mixer. This is always the fun part. If you've got kids around, you know they're going to want to lick those beaters. Or adults for that matter. Okay. Take your mix beater off. Now what we're going to do, there's that pesky old hand again. We're going to add the chocolate. And when you add this, just go ahead and add that in. And you're going to want to incorporate it as such. I use just a spatula. That works really great. Just make sure you get all that chocolate mixed up in there. And something else you could do that I didn't mention, you can also add cocoa. Cocoa would be marvelous in this if you wanted to make it a triple chocolate. That would be delicious, and I would probably go with about a half a cup of cocoa. And something I've really found out, the Hershey's Special Dark Cocoa is marvelous. Again, I go for the wow factor. I love dark chocolate. Some people don't. So it's just however you're liking. That's going to be all for that. Now comes the fun part. We get to put them on a cookie sheet and bake them. Now what I use is, I call them a seal mat, but it's just a non-stick mat, and it really is wonderful because when you drop those cookies on there, they're not going to stick at all. You don't have any problem. It actually helps them brown. It promotes browning really well. Best tool you'll ever buy. I have them in 3 sizes. This is the medium size. This makes a perfect thing for a cookie. If you want to, step it up and use the bigger one, if you want giant cookies, but this makes the perfect size cookie. Because if you notice, most recipes call for about a tablespoon or 2 of dough. And you just scoop. Space them about an inch or 2 apart. You want to give them room to spread. And I forgot to mention, if you would like to add nuts into your cookies, some people prefer that, such as pecans or walnuts. Feel free to do that at the stage that you added the chocolate. That would really be good too. We don't always have those around, but when we do, I do like to add nuts to it. I've gotten on a pistachio nut kick here lately, and really wonderful in all situations. That's about how many I would put on there. That's 10, and that's going to go into a 375 degree oven, and in about, it says 10 to 12 minutes. I check mine at about 7 minutes, just because my oven is a little hotter. Everybody's oven's different. I just watch them. Obviously when they're brown, they're done. I usually back off the temperature a little bit, just because in the time. I like a soft cookie. Some people like a crunchy cookie. So I would definitely check them at about 7 minutes. pull those fabulous chocolate chip cookies out of the oven. Let's see what we have. Now, here's where people make a lot of mistake with cookies. You're going to notice this looks like this is not done in the middle. That's fine. That's the way you want it, because the residual heat of this pan is going to continue to cook those cookies. And at this point, I actually usually take them off and I'll put them on a cookie grate and let those cool off, because you want to get them off this hot pan, you know, in just a few minutes. But again, it looks doughy, but it actually, that's what makes for a fabulous cookie, because it's going to be soft while the edges are a little crisp. Delicious. And that is why I was saying it's so important to watch your heat, watch your time. Actually, 375, depending on your oven, that could be a little too hot. You might want to crank it back to 350, even 325. There wouldn't be nothing wrong with that. And something else, the reason you'll get this spreading is because of butter. Butter will do that, but you can see how beautiful golden brown it makes the cookies. Whereas if you use shortening, which I have done before in cookies, you're not going to get that same spreading. You're not going to get that same browning effect. It's still a good cookie, but I just prefer butter. And that is how you make double chocolate chip cookies. See you next time.